Sometimes I wonder if my parents would have still adopted if they knew that I would call them out for their racism on national television and their other adopted child would end up in jail. But then I remember that my adoption story has been so crazy this whole time that it kind of feels like fate. It actually made me believe that what is meant to be will be. Back in the 90s, my parents went to Colombia and they adopted two babies. They adopted me in 93 and my brother in 95. After being referred there by their lawyer that helped them buy their house. She had adopted from Colombia and that was the first country that they looked in. It sounded great. My mom knew that's what she wanted to do. They filled out the paperwork and a few months later, they got a little picture of me. Then they decided they wanted another child, and that's how they adopted my brother. I don't remember going to Colombia when I was like 2.5, 3 to pick him up. And because of my parents' insecurities and the racism in my white adoptive family, they hid that my brother and I were adopted. And I found out that he was adopted first at around 14 years old. Because I found his paperwork, his adoption paperwork that had all the information, all the details, his previous name, and I was scared shitless. My brother already had behavioral issues in school, and I just knew that this would send him over the ledge, and I was not going to be the messenger, the bearer of bad news. So I literally told nobody except for my best friend, and that was it. I didn't think about it. I just pushed it aside other than making sure that my birth was legit. So I remember dialing up on the internet in the early 2000s and Googling what does a birth certificate look like? And everything seemed to check out for me. My parents' names were right there. It seemed legit. No adoption papers for me. Then a few years later, I was 19 visiting home from college, found papers that said that I was their adopted daughter too. And that's kind of when the shit hit the fan and I really had to make a decision. This was decision time. Do I tell my brother that he's adopted? How do I tell him? Oh my God, I can't do this. What do I even say? And of course, this was the day of all days that both my parents worked late and I'm just waiting for somebody to get home to talk to them about this. And when I confronted my mom, you'll never believe what she said. Or maybe you will.